So if you're not new around here, you may have looked at the title and been like, what? So a bit of a backstory. The other day I was preparing an infographic for Instagram and I wanted to compare what I deem to be a nutrient-dense breakfast to what is recommended by the Australian Food Guide. So I started looking into it and I mean, I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was this bad. From there, I had the crazy idea that I would try to follow the guidelines to a T, eat all the recommended serving sizes and everything that the Australian Food Guide recommends. So if you're new around here and haven't watched any other videos on my channel, you might be thinking, what's wrong with the food guide? It's supposed to be optimal, isn't it? We're gonna talk about that in this video. If you're not new around here, you're probably freaking out for me over some of the foods I'm about to eat, and rightfully so. But anyways, in this video, we'll talk about what's wrong with the food guidelines. We're gonna go through a day of eating and also look at the nutritional value of everything, see if it even meets what's recommended by the government. And yeah, so stick around. This is gonna be a good video. All right, so I guess we'll start by looking at the guideline and what it recommends, serving sizes, the different food groups. I feel like the food guide is something, no matter what country you're in, that you hear about here and there, you have a rough idea of what it is, but who actually takes the time to read it? All right, so the Australian Food Guide is pretty similar to the American Food Guide. It is based on 5 food groups: vegetables and legumes/beans, fruit, grain foods, mostly whole grain and or high cereal fiber varieties, lean meats and poultry, fish, eggs, tofu, nuts, and seeds, and legumes/beans. Why is legumes and beans on there twice? Anyways. Milk, yogurt, cheese, and or alternatives, mostly reduced fat. I guess this is a good time to do the intro to my video and say welcome. If you're new here, my name's Kate. I'm a health coach and I post videos on a high-fat, nutrient-dense way of eating. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share and make sure to subscribe. So as I was saying, there are 5 food groups that they recommend eating. There are also some food groups that they recommend to avoid. The ones to avoid are fat, salt, sugar, and alcohol. So in terms of how many calories someone like myself should eat in a day, the food guide recommends that women between the ages of 19 and 30 eat 8,400 kilojoules. Why do we even use kilojoules in Australia? It just makes things so confusing. Anyways, that equals out to just over 2,000 calories. And for my age group, they recommend 5 servings of vegetables and legumes, 2 servings of fruit, 6 servings of grains, 2.5 servings of lean meat, fish, poultry, eggs, nuts, seeds, legumes, beans, 2.5 servings of milk, yogurt, cheese, and alternatives. And there's also an allowance for additional serves from any food group, which is 0 to 2.5. Right off the bat, how is the average person supposed to figure out what a serving size is? So a couple months ago, I actually did a video on the new Canadian Food Guide, and I was a bit critical of it, but I also said there were some good things in it. Looking at this food guide highlights some of those positive things that I said about it. So one of the things that they changed in the new Canadian Food Guide is they eliminated this whole serving size model. And yeah, now that I've sat down and tried to calculate the serving sizes and making sure I get, for this day, 6 serves of grains, etc., I really realized how terrible this serving size model is. So anyways, for this day of eating, I followed the sort of sample meal plan that they have on the website, and it goes as follows. Breakfast is whole grain cereal, porridge or muesli with a serve of low-fat milk or yogurt and some fruit. Morning tea, okay, if you're not Australian, and maybe this is a British thing, I don't know, but I'd never heard of the concept of morning tea in Canada before. It doesn't actually mean tea. It pretty much just means snack. Weird, I know. Anyways, so morning tea, which is actually not tea and a snack, a piece of fruit, low-fat yogurt, or whole grain toast / wholemeal crumpet / fruit bread. Then for lunch, they recommend whole grain bread, roll or wrap lightly spread with unsaturated margarine with a slice, one slice, of lean meat, chicken, or low-fat cheese, or tinned fish, and plenty of salad vegetables. And finally, for dinner, a serve of lean meat, skinless chicken or fish, or a meat alternative, a serve of whole grain bread / grain product, or a starchy vegetable or legume side dish, a large serve of a variety of colored vegetables or salad, and if desired, a dessert based on fruit and low-fat milk or yogurt. So I actually went through and figured out what the different serving sizes were and put this whole day of eating together. I calculated the calories, the macronutrients, and the number of servings in each food group. So everything that they mentioned in this recommendation came out to just over 1,200 calories. There was 94 grams of protein, 22 grams of fat, and 175 grams of carbs. And in terms of serving sizes, this came out to 5 serves of vegetables, 3 serves of fruit, 4 serves of grains, 2 serves of meat, 4 serves of dairy, and 1 additional, which I didn't know which category to put the margarine in. It's so weird. They recommend margarine, but it doesn't fit into any of their food groups. It just doesn't really make sense. Now, I'm not saying margarine should be in any of the food groups. It should absolutely not be. Vegetable oil is the worst thing you can consume. But yeah, I just think it's weird that they recommend it, but it doesn't fit in anywhere. Okay, 1,200 calories, that is not enough for me. Maybe if I was sedentary and needed to lose weight, then that might be okay, but I am very active. I am at a good body weight. I just want to maintain. I don't really want to lose any more weight. I guess what they're trying to do is under recommend, because I guess most people are overweight, and if they under recommend, most people will consume more anyways. So I don't know. I really don't know why it only came out to 1,200 calories after they say you should be eating 2,000. I went through and I tweaked this a little bit because I also noticed that the grains were a little bit low. I think that was the only category. Oh, and yeah, the lean meat was also a little bit low. So I went through and tweaked some things, upped the protein a little bit, added some more rolls with dinner. Instead of half, I'm gonna have 2 full rolls, really just to get the calories up. Oh, and I also added in a glass of red wine. This is another thing I thought was really strange. They put alcohol in this category where it's something you should avoid, but they say, the recommendation, it's just so weird. They word it like, they pretty much say, don't have more than 2 serves in a day and have at least 2 alcohol-free days per week. So I hate this because they shouldn't be including alcohol at all. They should just be saying it's not healthy, full stop. When you say, okay, don't have alcohol 2 days a week, people can justify having alcohol the other 5 days. I don't know. I mean, a glass of wine here and there, a drink here and there, that's fine. But this is the food guide. This is what people are looking to, or in a perfect world, this should be what people are looking to be healthy. Anyways, end rant. Because of that, I added in a glass of wine. Oh, another note is the serving sizes for alcohol. 100 milliliters of wine is 1 serve. That isn't what most people think of when they think of a serve of alcohol. This is just another reason that the whole serving size model is terrible. So with everything adjusted, I ended up with just over 2,000 calories for the day, which is closer to how much I usually eat. All right, so now's probably a good time to say gotcha, because I didn't actually eat this food. I started planning this video and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a full day of eating following the Australian food guide. And then I thought about it some more. I started looking at these foods. I'm like, this is how I used to eat. This is how I ate when I was overweight. I ate low-fat yogurt. I ate Special K cereal. I ate bananas. I ate lean chicken. I ate margarine, and I felt terrible. I already know what it feels like to eat this way. Maybe not down to the exact serving sizes, but these recommendations were always in the back of my head. I always chose whole grains. I never ate white bread, like ever. And do you want to know how I felt? Well, I already said I felt terrible, but I was hungry all the time. I was so dissatisfied with what I was eating. Like, I can remember just eating a bowl of Special K cereal and not being full. Reading the calories on the back and being like, if I have another bowl, that's way too many calories. I would obviously have it anyways because I was hungry. But I guess this kind of leads into my first issue with these recommendations, and that is the low fat. Fat is what keeps us full. There is nothing to say that fat causes disease, fat causes heart disease, fat causes cancer, nothing. There are some studies linking it to certain diseases, but those studies are based on populations. They aren't able to prove anything. Basically, the low fat recommendation comes from the idea that fat has more calories per gram than protein and carbs. So if you eat less fat, you're gonna be eating less calories. And I mean, maybe it sounds okay in theory, but I think based on the obesity epidemic we are currently going through, we can see that these recommendations do not work. That is probably my biggest problem with these recommendations. People are so fixated on reducing fat when it's not the problem. And reducing it actually leads to increased hunger. You end up eating more overall. There are essential fatty acids. You need to eat fat to survive. There are also essential amino acids. You need to eat protein to survive. There are no essential carbohydrates. You do not need to eat carbs to survive. I won't get too much into the carb hating in this video, but I just think it's funny how they say you should limit fat, but they aren't clear about how much you should limit. Protein, you only need a little bit, they say, and most people need more than 2.5 serves of lean meat in a day to meet their protein goals. I think it is sending the complete wrong message that they recommend only lean meat. Again, for the same reasons, fattier cuts of meat are going to keep you full for longer. Oh, the recommendation to cut the skin off chicken just drives me insane. There is so much goodness, so much collagen in chicken skin. Okay, I'm getting a little bit heated, but these recommendations are just insane to me. And let's talk about nutrition. So this day of eating is not very nutritious. First off, the day starts with barely any fat. You're having cereal or toast and fruit. So any fat-soluble vitamins you are eating, you cannot absorb, or you're only gonna absorb a small amount. We need fat to absorb these nutrients. Breakfast, the recommendations are basically just carbs. You aren't even really getting any protein until that one slice of meat you can have at lunch. One. And at first I thought it said 1 lean slice and 2 slices of cheese, but then I looked at it again and it actually says meat or cheese. And side note, you wonder why no one follows these recommendations? Did you see the food you recommended? How bland, how boring. Not that I think food should even be too much about pleasure. We should be eating for health, but when the food isn't even satisfying, when it's not even meeting our nutritional needs, just why? Why? Also, this emphasis on fiber. We do not need fiber. I have a few other videos on the topic on my channel. I will link them up above, whichever side it's on, so you can watch that afterwards if you like as well. But really, there is no benefit to fiber. We should not be focusing on eating whole grains so that we can get enough fiber. It's something we don't need. We should be focusing on eating whole foods, not things that are processed with 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 ingredients. And things like cereal, have you seen the ingredients list? It has all this nutrition added in, but how much of that are we actually going to absorb? We are better off getting these nutrients from whole foods. Anyways, guys, if you are struggling to eat healthy, if you are overweight, if you have health problems, eating healthy does not have to be difficult. This is what just makes me sad, is they have made it so complicated. At the end of the day, if you are eating whole foods, if you are eating enough fat, if you are eating nutrient-dense foods, everything else falls into place. You don't need to worry about serving sizes, fiber, whole grains. Yeah, it just makes me really sad that this is what's being pushed. So many people are struggling with this. They're striving for this, but they're hungry, can't make it work. I really don't blame you. I was there. Now, I won't go too much into what I think the solution is in this video, but I have some others on my channel, and I might do a video on specifically what I think the best way of eating is for weight loss, so you can watch out for that in the next couple of weeks. Okay, this got me really fired up, and the sun's setting now, so sorry if the lighting got a little bit weird. But anyways, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you're not already subscribed, click that subscribe button. I post lots of fun videos, if I do say so myself. Oh, and give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. All right, I know I'm asking a lot of you, but thanks. Have a good weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.